Happy Monday and welcome to Buckeye Scoop family. Hope all is well out there. Hope all in the chat are doing well. What's up, Dev? What's up, Stilly? All the chat folk getting it popping already. Great to see y'all. Beginning of the week. Listen, y'all, do me a favor. Click that like button right now. Subscribe. Get that out the way if you haven't already done that. Also, a little bit of a countdown we got for y'all. We got 8 days until the Big Ten Media Days, right? That's right around the corner. We got Sonny Styles, Caleb Downs, and JJ Smith as the representation for Ohio State, which is a dope lineup. Then we got 17 days until Ohio State fall camp starts. And remember, the first 3 days of fall camp is open to the public. So great opportunity to come see the team and just hang out with Buckeye fans. You might see me there smiling. We'll see. And then lastly, we got 47 AJ Hawk days until kickoff versus Texas. I keep telling y'all we're gonna blink and it's gonna be Buckeye football time, and we got some things leading up to that to really kind of serve as appetizers. Also, real quick, remember our super chats. Go to the Pay It Forward program that basically assists military and the first responders with Buckeye Scoop subscriptions, and we look out for them because they look out for us. And I always want to remind you guys of that. But listen, we're going to be talking about some future stars at Ohio State today. Big show, and like I said, I'm getting excited for the season, especially talking about topics like these. And as always, I got my brother Nevadabuck. What is good, sir?
Well, I mean, before we get to anything, it's like, okay, are you okay, man? I've got hashtag pray for B Moses, making sure that you're okay after yesterday's illness, man. And I wasn't sure if you were going to be able to make it, but you're tough. You're a tough old bird, man. You're like pulling it together and coming here on Monday night and representing. So I'm just glad you're okay, man. I'm just glad you're okay and back at it.
I got two nurses right here on each side, just waiting to just grab me if I pass out. But I wanted to ask y'all because I all transparency, stomach bug. I hate stomach bugs. Now let me ask y'all real quick as a little question before we get rolling. And Nevada, you can be the one to answer, and in the chat you can respond. Would you rather have a nasty stomach bug, even if it's a 24-hour bug, nasty stomach bug, or let's just say like a flu where you're just down in the bed and you got the chills and all the flu stuff? Which one would you rather deal with, Nevada, out of those two?
I think I'd rather do the stomach bug. I'd rather do
Mm.
the kind of get it over with the 24-hour thing. Because flu, because I'm just inferring from that the flu can kind of linger over a couple of days or something like
Mm.
that. So I'd go for shorter duration on that. But is there a third option that says that neither one of the above? Like, I want to go for neither one of the above because I don't want to have the flu. Or I don't, so I kind of had a stomach bug on Saturday night when I was betting UFC and I lost all my UFC bets and I felt like throwing up. So I kind of had a stomach bug on Saturday night. But other than that, I've been feeling good. But man, I was worried about you. I heard that there. And if you go down during the show, just have one of your kids drag you out and we'll just continue the show on without you. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, the show's got to go on, B. The show's got to go on.
Oh man. Listen. I don't know. To me, to answer that question, I hate stomach bugs. Like I hate them with a passion. So a part of me is just like, if the flu lasts for 2 or 3 days and I'm just in the bed, eating soup, Gatorade,
Yeah,
or
that's true. Binge
you
binge
know,
watching binge watching Game of Thrones or something like
right. Rewatching all the great episodes, The Winds of Winter, like all of that stuff. I
Oh yeah,
mean, to me,
like the battle for Winterfell. You're like, I can watch this episode 9 times.
listen, that sounds more appealing to me than y'all
Yeah,
know
yeah,
what a
good
stomach
point.
bug brings. It's
Yeah,
trash.
yeah,
So
yeah.
so anyway, I don't know, but I'm definitely I'm feeling a lot better. I got my hydration, got 2 bottles of water, and I'm hanging in there. So glad to be back on this good Monday. All right, so we're gonna get right into it. We're gonna talk about the three what we've been hearing from some good people, some good sources about the three breakout players for Ohio State in 2025. And we want y'all's feedback in the chat. Talk to us. We'll be talking to you. And we're going to start out with Nevada Buck with his first, and I'll follow
Well,
up.
Well, I want to set the parameters here now. A breakout star for me can't be somebody who was a starter previously because it can't be somebody who's going to ascend from like starter to all-American or something. This is like a true breakout star, like somebody who hasn't been a starter before, but is going to come in and be a regular contributor, consistent contributor to the Buckeyes this year in 2025. So like, for example, you can't go Carnell Tate and go, I think he's going to go from really good player to all-American, or
Yeah,
or Carson Hinsman from really good player to first team All American. Like that doesn't count. So your breakout star has got to be somebody who hasn't been playing, just getting on there. And for me and for you, as we talked about this, yeah, these aren't our opinions. This is what's kind of coming from Ohio State. This is the kind of the word. These are the guys you should be getting really excited about because Ohio State's excited about them, which makes B Moses excited about them, which makes Nevadabuck excited about them, which makes you should be excited. So I'm going to start with my number one, not number one, but I'll say my third uh, breakout star. I'm going to go with Payton Pierce.
mm.
Payton Pierce, yeah, player from linebacker out of Texas. Um, I am telling you, they love Peyton Pierce. They love him. They love what he does. They love the way that he plays. They've been working him in there regularly. When I've been talking about on the previous shows, on the show last night, we talked about how Ohio State is going to start bringing pressure via the stand-up linebacker. Being in lieu of the pure rush defensive end, you're going to see more of Sonny Styles rolling up there. You're going to see more of Arvell Reese roll up there. But when they do that, and you look for who the two linebackers are going to, if they roll Arvell Reese up there, the two linebackers are going to be Sonny Styles and Peyton Pierce. Those are going to be the two linebackers out there. So Peyton's a kid out of Texas. Just a hard nosed, knock 'em down type of linebacker. Really, really smart, really, really athletic, gets to the ball. I mean, reminds me of some of the great linebackers that we've had at Ohio State in the past. And, the position of linebackers changed so much. They're asking these linebackers to do different kind of things. They're asking them to rush the quarterbacks. They're asking them to be in coverage more. It's not just the old stand there, fill the gaps and work on run contain. They're really asking these guys to be three down guys. Peyton's a three down linebacker and a guy that for me, hasn't played much, hasn't been on the field much, but for me, I see him as being kind of a household name for the Ohio State fans by the end of the season, and certainly a stalwart for the OSU defense. Looking for playmakers, looking for lost a lot of guys on defense last year, but I think Peyton Pierce is going to be one of the answers to the OSU defense in 2025. So I'll say third breakout star number three of the year for Ohio State. Peyton Pierce, final answer.
Yeah, that's good. And that's been consistent. I mean, we've heard in interviews behind the scenes, talking to people, Peyton Pierce has been a consistent guy that we've heard, not just from Laurinaitis, but from others within the program, just love him. And so I'm on board with that. And we're going to need that depth. We're going to need him to come in. And someone in the chat said the obvious answer is Arvell Reese. I mean, to me, Arvell Reese is a little different because he played so much last year. I know he
Yeah,
didn't
he
start, but
yeah, yeah, he doesn't for me he wouldn't qualify as breakout star just because he got so much playing time last year. I mean
right,
that guy he played a lot.
exactly, exactly. Let me turn this ringer off. So, yeah, so I wouldn't pick Reese for that reason. To me, that's too obvious. So, with that said, Peyton Pierce is a guy. Even if we didn't talk to anyone, it's a great pick and a great projection. But they love him. The staff loves him, and I want to ask you a follow up question because I'm still trying to decide this. Looking at his high school tape, which is rolling, and just kind of projecting what a good comp for him is. Who is the best comp in your mind? I have something in my mind, but I'm like, ooh, I don't want to just throw that out there. But what say you? Who would you compare him to in the OSU history as far as linebacker goes?
I mean, to me, he just you're always tempted when you see a guy like this to kind of you put him in the line of the white linebackers that kind of look like Peyton Pierce that kind of run around and turn to, but he kind of reminds me a little bit of Steve Tovar,
Mm,
it turns out there. Um, but yeah, I think he's AJ Hawk. No, I don't think he's AJ Hawk, but I do think he's James Laurinaitis. I mean, I think
Yes, I was going to
that's
say
who
that.
that's who he plays like. Like, and
Yes.
that's, we know, you know, yeah, James isn't the only coach that loves him, but James loves him. James, make no mistake, James loves this guy. I think it's because James loves himself. So James sees him play. He's like, hey, this reminds me of me. I really like me, so I really like you. So he's I think I would say James Laurinaitis and Steve Tovar, kind of a mix between those two guys, but he plays a lot like Laurinaitis, and yeah, a lot of the same mannerisms, a lot of the same, just the way that he kind of, moves. His movement reminds me of James. So I'll say, yeah, James Laurinaitis, final answer.
I agree. I was like, man, should I say that? But that's what I see. I see that. I mean, because look, Laurinaitis is not the fastest guy, but he's not slow. His instincts and his football IQ and his triggering ability always made up for his lack of athleticism. Because Laurinaitis always says, I'm not as nearly as athletic as these guys in this room. He was plenty athletic. All right. He just wasn't Ryan Shazier. But Peyton Pierce to me is similar. He has a nose for the ball. He's physical, downhill. I mean, he reminds me of Laurinaitis, man. And I was just hesitant to say that because it just seemed like, I don't know, but great minds think alike. Once again, me and Nevada did not talk about that backstage.
No, we didn't. We did
We
not.
did not. Now, the Tovar comparison is very interesting as well. Yes, I'm old enough to remember Steve Tovar, but I got to go back and watch. It's been a while since I've watched him. But his aggression, I remember his aggression and physicality, and Peyton Pierce definitely has that. But yes, that's a guy where some fans who don't really, I don't want to say casuals, but I think that's a guy where he's going to come on the scene and they're going to be like, who's this guy? I'm like, we've been telling you. The coach has been telling you. So I agree. I think Peyton Pierce is a great pick for sure.
Well,
So,
who is your number two pick for breakout star then?
all right. So yeah, my eye has been on him, but it was like reassuring to hear what I've been hearing from my people in the WAC about this player. You talk about another guy they love and they feel like it's not getting enough credit for what they can bring to the table this year, and their motor, their unstoppable motor. And let me see, look at my notes. Always around the ball and more impactful than people remember. I'll say that. That's my words. More impactful than people remember. And that is Kaden Curry, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay. Okay.
Kaden Curry, in my opinion, and based off what I'm hearing, really concurs. He is going to be more of an impact guy than people are letting off, especially in light of the fact that people are down on our defensive ends and, oh, we need to get, 8 5-star defensive ends or we suck. In Nevada, you've been driving the point home lately. I especially love this because you've been driving the point home lately about people, really whining about the defensive end recruiting. And you're like, hey, what are we doing? We're talking about, who's going to start in 2027 or who's going to be the backup in this year or whatever. And people are focused more on that. And to me, aren't focused on what we got now. Not only the starters, I don't know if Caden Curry is going to start. They didn't say that. But remember, to me, you got two sets. You got waves. The D line is waves. It's a rotation. And so if you got Caden Curry, who is a werewolf coming in, either if he's starting or if he's just coming in and getting almost as many snaps as Jackson or Atkinson, that matters. And I'm gonna throw on some tape in a second, but going back and watching him, he had some strip sacks. He forced fumbles. He was in on block punts. He chased quarterbacks down that are way faster than him from the backside to get sacks and tackles. I mean, do we remember this? And so they really believe he's going to step up and really, really make an impact on another level this year. And I love it because nobody's talking about Caden Curry, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, no, it is interesting because we talk a lot about Cade McDonald and Edric Houston and Bo Atkinson and even Kenyatta Jackson gets kind of thrown out there, but Caden Curry is kind of the forgotten man. And no, I agree. There are just certain guys throughout the years of me watching Ohio State football, that just have a knack for making plays. And like you said, they're always out there when something good happens, when there's a big turnover, a big special teams play, a big sack, or whatever it might be. And Caden Curry is certainly one of those guys. And the area that he's really been killing it in, during this offseason has been strength and conditioning. I mean, he's a guy that's been, borderline Iron Buckeye, dude of the week. I mean, he's really, put his, he's taken it to another level in terms of his strength and conditioning. And the strength and conditioning staff has really noticed it. So they're really, really high on Caden Curry because he's always had the motor, he's always had the know-how, he's always had the desire and the ability to kind of do it. But he's a little bit of a tweener, so he's not like a classic, big strapping defensive end. He's undersized. But I think he's really made up for it with a full commitment to the strength and conditioning program. And I think you're going to see a different Caden Curry out there at even different level. So I can absolutely see where he could be a breakout player for us again on a defense that lost a lot. Man, we lost four linemen to the NFL. We lost
Yeah,
Cody Simon to the NFL. We lost Jordan Hancock. We lost Denzel and we lost a ton of experience and just great players. And you lose seven guys like that are all drafted. These aren't guys that just left and went to the CFL or these are all guys drafted in the NFL. So you're going to need guys to step up in terms of doing it. And we're going to need Caden Kerr to do it. And if he can do it, and if he can be a breakout star for 2025, I think it's an unbelievable endorsement for the defense in 2025, and that'll be a boost that we really, really need to get to the next level.
absolutely. And he could have left. He's another one of those guys who could have took some NIL money and just left and maybe started somewhere. Not maybe, definitely started somewhere. And so he stayed. He's a culture guy. And I mean, I'm just watching the highlights. He's just always around the ball. And he's tough against the run. I'm not saying he's JTT or Jack Sawyer yet, because like Nevada said, he's a little bit of a tweener, not the biggest guy, but his physicality, thinking about Scoop and Sawyer, which is fine, but it's just plays like that. He has a knack for disruption and for the ball. And so I'm excited. I'm excited about Kaden Curry on this defense. So yeah, that is mine.
Well, I think that's a good pick. And like I said, Caden, I always love those guys that kind of come through the strength and conditioning side. You can start to see that, because people can say what they want about, Iron Buckeye and this and that. But like last year, they kind of give you a little hint of it when Carson Hinsman, remember, was the Iron Buckeye, yet he
Hmm.
was buried on the depth chart. Like buried on the depth chart, like nowhere to be seen. And helping technician was just banging the drum, going, "This guy is unbelievable. There's no way that he shouldn't be playing." And I think people, I don't know, people doubted it or people whatever. And, I know you believe in the staff, and the staff can make no mistakes. And I get that. But sometimes you can see through strength and conditioning guys raising their game during the offseason, taking it to another level. Caden Curry would certainly be an example of that. Another example of that would be my number one guy for breakout
Uh-oh.
star. Now
Here we
I'm
go.
going to give you the number one breakout star. Now, this is not going to be some guy that's buried on the nobody's ever
Ooh.
heard of or anything like that. But this is a guy who has not played. Has gone out there's not played. So from that standpoint, I think he's absolutely a breakout star. I think he's a guy that's going to make a huge impact in 2025 for a lot of different reasons. But I'm going to go with from New Haven, Indiana, Milin Graham, my number one breakout player, the guy that I'm hearing the most about from
Yeah.
people on, I always say the players know who the players are, and the players all know that that Miley Graham is a player. And the thing that's I think that the underrated point about Milan and why I think, people could say, Nevada, how is he even going to make any of an impact when you've got JJ Smith and Carnell Tate and Brandon Innes and Max Clare and how is this guy going to make any kind of impact? Well, he's got the little special X factor going for him, which is called connection with Julian Saint. Julian Saint's been here, and when everybody, when Will Howard was throwing to the ones and the twos, Julian Saint was out there throwing to Milan Graham. And so there's something to be said for when a quarterback and a wide receiver have that chemistry, have that little thing kind of going where they're familiar with each other, where they know what their moves, they can anticipate it, they're just comfortable getting the ball to. Julian's very, very comfortable throwing the ball to Milan. So for me, I think he's gonna. I think he is going to feast. When defenses are going to absolutely have to roll over to the top and double team JJ, his you know unbelievable athleticism is just going to demand that. I think guys like Milin Graham, guys like Max Clare are absolutely going to be the benefactors, and I think Milin is a guy a little bit more fluid for my money than Brandon Innes. I've said it before. I think Brandon's been a little stiff. Um, not trying to. I love Brandon Innes. I love me, but my South Florida Express guys. But I just think Milon Graham. Um, I think he's him. I think he's special. I think he's got a different ability for this Ohio State defense, and I think he's going to have a absolutely monster year. Step up as a breakout star guy coming from has from no receptions to absolutely top guy that teams defenses are going to have to account for every week. Milon Graham, number one breakout star for 2025.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good one. And we've talked about him, and like you said, the staff loves him. I know Heartline tries to Heartline in interviews tries to keep the talk down a little bit, keep his guys humble, but he clearly loves Milon Graham. And I'm going to throw on some different clips in a second to your point about his connection with Julian saying. So you see these high school highlights. A lot of these highlights, his just speed is just over the top. I mean, he's killing cats with speed. Now, he's 50-50 balling sometimes, as you just saw in that play. But the point is, a lot of it is just flat out beaten with speed. In the clips I'm going to show you in a moment, to Nevada's point, you're going to see, a lot of underneath stuff. You see that he's grown with that, with those routes and the ability to go underneath and not just deep. But yes, great connection with saying, and it's going to be interesting because Ennis, he obviously has more experience, and I can see him being a terror in the slot, not needing to be overly twitchy or speedy per se. But I'm just wondering if is Milon Graham with his ability to not just go deep on the nine route, but to hit you underneath, is he going to take reps away from Ennis? That's really my question because I hear you. Like, I don't disagree with you. Milon Graham is the higher ceiling talent wise, more explosive, but Ennis's physicality and ability to the grittiness to go over the middle and take hits like that. I think that could get him in the door. But let me ask you real quick before I move on and pull up the other clips. Do you think Milon Graham is going to take? And I know they're not necessarily the same position, but they all cross train. The X cross trains with the slot position and all of that. If Milon Graham can show that he has a good overall game and not just a Devin Smith 9 route guy, that might be bad for Ennis. What do you think?
Well, I think Ohio State. I mean, the one thing with the transfer portal now, Ohio State is very much aware that you got to keep everybody involved. You know what I'm saying? Because if Brandon Innes feels like he's being bypassed for any reason, then he'll be on the midnight train to Georgia. You know what I'm saying? Like that. Like
Yeah,
that's the way that it works. So they've got to spread the ball around. They've got to move it around. They know that with Carnell Tate leaving next year, they would love it to be JJ, Milon Graham, and Brandon Ennis next season. But they've got to be thinking 2026 with any of these guys. So I think that he'll still see action because of that his physicality, his blocking on the outside. Brandon Ennis is probably the best blocker. Of the wide
yeah.
receiving group I mean, he's just nasty. He's a guy that really gets after it, really takes pride in his blocking. So no, I think they'll still get him involved. But I just think Milan's him. I just believe the problem, Matt.
I know we got a punt return for the first time in years from Caleb Downs. Who's the last person to return a kick?
So those rugby style end over end low line drive punts that just get down there and just roll down the field because you have got somebody to stop it. And heaven forbid you catch one of those rugby punts in the air, you may house it.
Like, I'm just curious about that now that you bring that up because I think of Milon Graham and who would you have back there for punt return? Who are the two top that you would have back there on this roster if they did that
For a punt return?
for a punt return?
Okay, for a punt return though, but you got to understand my criteria is a little bit different on a punt return because I still have nightmares from the Clemson bowl game when Philly Brown dropped the
Uh,
punt, and we
yeah,
lost. Because that game was over. You know what I'm saying? Like all we got to do is just catch the punt, and the game's over, and we muff it and lose to Clemson, and I had to listen to all that garbage, and I was sick about that. So for me, sure hands are what I'm looking for more than anything back there, and that's why I like having a Brandon Inniss back there. Like, frankly, I like to have a Milin Graham back there on punt. Right, I like to have wide receivers that are used to catching the ball with their hands. I
yeah,
want those guys on on punt return. Now kickoff returns. You know, I'm really because it's an easier catch. You know what I'm saying? Like it's very rare that you muff a kickoff, even though what was the name of the guy that muffed the kickoff against Michigan? Remember that? The famous muff of the kickoff. Oh,
Ohio
it's like
State guy.
yes, he muffed the kickoff.
I can't
We
think.
ended up winning. We ended up winning the game, but it was like late in the first half, and all he had to do was catch it, and he muffed it, and they recovered it like on the 5 yard line, and they scored again.
It wasn't
Can't.
Demario McCall, was it?
I think it might have been Demario McCall. It might have been Demario
Ooh, I
McCall.
think that's a good guess. Somebody can
Yeah,
confirm that.
yeah,
But
so and Jordan Hall was the last guy to return a kickoff for a touchdown for Ohio State.
okay,
That shows you how long it's been. It's been 15 years since that
yeah,
happened. So we're just
yeah.
not getting anything. But on kickoffs, I mean, I'd want my burners back there, and that's where I'd go to like a Low Styles Jr. Or or again, a Milin Graham, so, somebody who can fly and take those things back. Because I want speed to burn on a kickoff return, and that's how you find gaps. That's how you kind of break those things going. But yeah, I want two wide receivers on my punts, and I just want somebody really, really fast and fearless on my kickoffs. That's why I put Low Styles Jr., fastest player on the team, and not afraid of contact. So I put him back there.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think on the kick returns, you want a guy who can hit a crease because with the kickoff returns, it's more about finding a crease. And the punt returns, you want a guy, yes, who can secure the ball and catch the ball, but also has some shiftiness to kind of get through the muck of the punt return and get out of there. But you brought some bad memory. Like Philly Brown was a fine player. He was cool. He was solid. He was a decent pro. But man, that Clemson game when he did that, oh, I was so salty. So
Uh,
yeah,
that
and
was
we've seen
terrible.
some guys that have muffing issues. Didn't Ray Small? Ray Small had muffing issues. It seems like we've been plagued with muffing issues over
What
the
what
years.
what Ted had it in that Michigan game in '05. Where
Yeah,
he muffed a couple of punts, and I mean, and for my money, greatest returner not only in Ohio State history but college football history. I mean, he was.
yeah,
I mean, yeah, I just have a lifetime memories just watching him return. But that game, he was struggling, man. He was struggling catching the ball, and it really cost us. But I just want a kick. I want a punt returner who can just catch the ball, and even if you just advance it 5 or 6 yards, I'm okay with that. Just secure the ball. You don't need to take it to the house. Just go forward. Don't go backwards. Don't muff it. Don't do it. But I don't know. Have you ever caught a punt? Have you ever tried to go out there and catch like a punt? And because I have, and I don't
yes,
know how anybody catches a punt with the ball swirling and moving and it's so high. So I have a lot of respect for those guys that go and do it. I can't even believe they can even get under and find it. But I feel the same way about like fly balls in center field, out there for baseball. They make it look so easy. It's not easy. It's not easy at all to get out and under there and do it. But I can't imagine, it's one thing in baseball to go catch a ball. In football, you're going down there with guys running at you, about
full
to hit
speed.
you full
Yeah,
speed. So yeah, punt returners have my eternal respect and love for doing a job that I could never do. That's for sure.
yeah, agreed. There's a lot of things that athletes make look easy, and fans just scoff at. Like that's a good question. Like, have you, there's certain things like sports I don't play that I'm just like, "Phew." But then when people break it down, it's like, okay, yeah, that's hard to do. I'm not going to mock that, but yeah, yeah. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see how the reps shake out, how the rotation shakes out because I know you're And listen, I know you don't. You're not dogging Ennis. You just think you're a little skeptical. You think he's a little stiff, and I get it. I think he's going to eat in the slot. I think he's going to thrive and eat in the slot. He doesn't necessarily have to be super twitchy and quick because of as far as he doesn't have to have the explosion that Milin Graham has. If he's going to be a physical blocker, underneath tough catches, taking hits. Like I said, I can see him being lined out. Lined up in the backfield, and a lead blocker. You know how they had a Mecca as like a lead blocker sometimes, and he actually crushed cats. I can see him playing in that role. So I think he has a role. But the question is, how much will they be able to bring Milin Graham in? Like, how much in the rotation will he be with J.J. Smith and Carnell Tate? It's going to be very interesting. But again, the wild card is Max Clare because they look at him as another receiver. Yes, he can block. Yes, he could do all things, but they look at him as another great pair of hands that you have to worry about and that coordinators have to scheme against. So that's one of my big questions in Nevada going into the season is with those five guys, how are they going to be rotated? How are they going to be used? How much 12 personnel versus dipping the ball around? I'm very curious about that, Nevada. So I can't wait, man.
Well, yeah, it's going to be. I mean, look, the in the Ohio State offense in my lifetime, they've never truly activated the tight end in a consistent way. So, can Brian Hartline just all of a sudden wave a wand and figure out a way to shove Max Clare into the rotations in a seamless manner? I don't know. What I mean, because I've just never seen it. I see other teams do it. I see other teams use the tight end and that it seems like it comes to the natural flow of the offense, but with Ohio State, it never does. It's always been kind of an afterthought or kind of a gimmick or kind of a thing of last resort. So can Ohio State do this? Can Brian Hartline find the way to do that? I think that's going to be one of the big storylines of 2025 because you've got a weapon that we've never had before. They've never been able to utilize before, and that can be of great comfort to a young quarterback like Julian's saying. So, yeah, no, I'm definitely excited about it, and the fact that the Texas game is only 47 days away is that right? Is that 47 days
Yep.
away? That
47
is
days away.
that is
Crazy.
crazy. Yeah, yeah, it is absolutely crazy because in some ways it seems like the national championship was like 100 years ago, and in other ways it seems like it was like last night. So,
Right.
um, hey, these as I get older, man, the off seasons get shorter. The seasons all run together, man, and you never take it for granted because you never know when you're going to see another. I don't know if we'll ever see another national championship in my lifetime. We don't know that. Nothing's guaranteed. I mean, went from 1968 to 2002. You know what I'm saying? That was like, I mean, so
Mm.
so you'd seen what, one in your lifetime there? I mean, because you weren't
Oh,
alive in '68.
oh, yeah, yeah. At that point, that was my first
That
one.
that was your first one. So it's like,
Yep.
I mean, they don't come along very often. So, we've been spoiled because of the success of Ohio State and because of, Tressel to Meyer today. But man, it's I watch other teams fall on hard times, and I just hope and pray that Ohio State never has to fall on that because we're just not used to it. We're not wired to accept stuff like that. So I'm excited for this season for sure.
Not at all. And as we're wrapping up for the season, I'm going to ask you a question based off what you just said, if that's okay. It's slightly off topic, but it's coming from what you just said. So right now, I've experienced three national titles: 2002, 2014, and obviously 2024. And each one holds a special place in my heart. I can remember you mentioned the 2002 game. I remember where I was. I was at Roosters on East Broad Street with a bunch of Buckeye fans, and it was insane. I can go through each year, each game. In your opinion, those out of those three, which one? How do you rank them, one through three? And whatever your criteria is, it could be most impactful or most meaningful or most enjoyable. How do you rank those? Because I got some thoughts on that, and it's very tough rank to rank.
Well, I've been blessed because I was at all three of those games.
Ooh,
I was at 02, 03, whatever you want to call it, in Arizona, and I was at 14 in Jerry World, and I was at 24 down in Atlanta. So I'd say in terms of I'll say in terms of the game, just the game for like the best game in terms of that was 02, clearly. I mean, you're talking about double overtime for the
oh
national
man,
championship, just everything that went into that. The Buckeyes, the 14.5 point favorite by Miami, the best team in college. I mean, all the reasons why, that was just a, instant classic, great, key plays and key play swings and some of the, greatest performance we've ever seen. But in terms of my favorite championship of all, it's got to be 2024, just because of the way that we ran the table. I mean, because I don't look at the title as just being, for me, the title is always about the feeling I had leaving that Michigan game, which I know you had feeling that leaving that Michigan game too, where it was despair. It was like, oh my goodness, what in the world did we just witness? To the Tennessee game where Buckeye Nation brought it, and we just threw those clowns back into the river and kicked them down south, and then Oregon settling all accounts with Oregon and those cocky ducks, and then marching down to Texas and taking care of Texas, and then going and taking care of Notre Dame. I mean, I, you'll never see another stretch like that. I mean, there'll
yeah.
never be another stretch like that. And to win all those four by double digits. So for me, it goes 2024, the 02, and then I mean 14 was amazing because beating Bama on the way, and then obviously Oregon was good, but they Oregon seemed a little overmatched, and then so the game wasn't really a classic, for in my view, and
Yeah.
tough. Like I said, I did, like I said, I was also there in 06 and 07 when we lost. So what I'm saying? I've
Yeah.
been I've seen the best and I've seen the worst. Those were horrible, and ones you don't ever want to remember. But when you win, man, it's really really special. And but that's how I rate them.
Man, that is so tough. And that's right. You were at all three. I've never been as fortunate to be at a title game in person. But
I've
it,
got some trash. I've got some trash from the 2024 game. I can send you. I
yes,
can send.
give me a Snickers wrapper from the
Uh,
stadium. I will put it in my man
I'm
cave right on
I'm
this
gonna
back
send you.
wall.
I'm gonna send you some trash. Your kids are gonna be like, "Hey, Dad, what's all this trash here?" They're like, "Hey, Nevada sent me trash for the national championship game." So
Hey, I'll take any memorabilia I can get.
yeah, I got it for you.
All
I'm
right,
sending you a
but
big,
I
big
am going to
bites.
try to go next year though, if I can. But this is tough, man. This is really, really tough because I try to make sure I don't have any recency bias and all that. But let me say this: in 2014, the Alabama game felt like the title game to me.
Yep,
That's
agreed.
what makes this so different. Is that felt like the title game? So I'm going to go. I'm not going to belabor the point by repeating what you said because I kind of agree. The 2024 title, without recency bias, to me is number one because of, like you said, getting off the mat after losing to the team up north with the despair of what in the world has happened. Oh my God, whatever. It was bad. And then to go on a run like we did, and not only that, I was able to go to a game. I went to the Tennessee game. I didn't go to the other games, but I was at that game. And so to me, the magic from that, and people now it's funny, they want to look back and say, oh, well, you were a favorite to win and you bought your championship. But after that Michigan game, people had us dead in the water. People had us losing. We were done. How can we come back from that? And so that factor, on top of the fact that it took a 4 game run to accomplish it against 4 top 10 teams, and most in their backyard, yeah, I got to go with that. I have to go. No other team has done that. Somebody will argue, well, this is the first year, and so no other team. It doesn't matter. I hate that argument because it doesn't negate the fact that they still had to do it, and no team has done that. So yeah, 2002, that game was epic. and we were massive underdogs. And so to me, it kind of goes back and forth for 2 or 3 for me. And I might even put that at 2, to be honest with you. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go 2024, 2002, then 2014, because Alabama felt like the title game to me. And Oregon, after the first, what was it, the first half, and we were just fumbling and making mistakes and doing goofy stuff, we absolutely ran it down their throat and dominated them. So I'm going to go. That's my order right there.
I love it. How does the Tennessee game? I mean, you were at the Tennessee game. I don't know how many other games you've been to rank it in terms of, but for me, in terms of crowd energy for the fan that was there, I mean, it's right up there at the top. I'm not saying it was the loudest that we've ever been because like I said, we might only been 70% of the fan that night, 70, 75, 80%, whatever it was, because there were so many Tennessee. I've never seen so many visiting fans at a game as that
Yeah.
game. But man, I'm telling you, the people that were there, man, they brought it. I mean, they brought the energy that you could feel, you could cut it with a knife. It was
Yeah.
uh the energy was palpable that evening for me.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up because 2017 Penn State, when Ohio State was rocking the gray wolf joints, the big comeback in the shoe.
Yep. Yep.
JT Barrett, 16 for 16, I believe it was in the second half, 16 for
y-
16.
Yep.
Um, that game was my number one game before the Tennessee game. That was my number one. I was there. I had excellent seats. And I had, Michigan fans texting me at halftime laughing and, you guys are going to lose. Saquon Barkley, opening kickoff return, all of that. That game, you talk about the crowd. We also were on the field afterwards. We walked up the tunnel. It was just a great experience. That Tennessee game, and shout out to my homie Jim Jackson in the chat. Me and Jim went to the game, and it was. I keep telling people on the sideline. I had the benefit of being on the sideline before the game. Down there with Pat McAfee and Herb Street and his dog and John Cooper and his wife and all the people down there. And there was a little bit of nervous energy in the crowd. The Tennessee fans were cocky. There was a lot of orange, but I was right there on the sideline watching our guys warm up in the all scarlet unis. I felt that energy coming from them, and it was powerful. And of course, when the game kicked off, it just went to another level. I had Tennessee fans all around me in the stadium, and as Jim, I was going hard. I was like, yeah, if y'all know me, I was talking so much. There was one little clip that went mini viral where I was talking about how we were chatting the SEC after scoring another tutty. You know what I'm saying? And it was amazing, Nevada. Amazing. That leaped to the number one game over Penn State. Just the fact that our backs against the wall, first night game, first playoff game in the shooter was a night game. Tennessee fans heckling, coming there, real arrogant. Throw our goalpost and in the river, all that stuff, and to come out and whoop them like that. Oh my God, it was beautiful. It was beautiful. So yeah, there you go. There you go.
Well, yeah, we got to get you and Funky Buck there together because apparently Funky Buck, I do not have a video of it, but apparently Funky Buck went really hard at Oregon fans at the Rose Bowl.
I
And
heard.
I,
I heard.
so,
I need
so
footage of that.
your boy's like, oh, I don't, that would, we have to put that on a special channel or something like that. But apparently he was getting after it, and yeah, I think he was relentless that day. So I didn't get a chance to see it, but I heard about it from several people that were there, and they said that it was one for the ages.
I heard he was taunting them with the Humpty dance in the stands. The Humpty dance is your chance.
He had the nose glasses on and everything. He was doing it all, man. I'm telling you what.
Oh, sweet
Oh,
Lord. All
oh
right,
boy.
all right. So we got a super chat here from Cars Washington. Thanks for the 9.99. Pay it forward. OH Nevada.
Oh.
Yes, thank you so much, Cars, for paying it forward and the super chat and for your support, man, and just being in the chat and just consistency and just being a great person, man. And also just to remind y'all, a lot of these people you see in the chat are on the Buckeye Scoop board. We have outstanding discussion on the Buckeye Scoop board. We have a lot of laughs, a lot of debate. a lot of just great football talk, and just sometimes it's not football talk. Sometimes it's just off topic. We talk about steaks and whatever. You feel me? So I highly encourage y'all to join the Scoop Board, especially as we approach the season. A lot of good intel, fall camp nuggets, and insight is coming down the pike. So now is the time to jump on for sure. Now, Karis is one of those good folks for sure. Nevada, you got anything to say to this one?
Yeah, Cars, thank you so much, man. Thanks for being here every night. Thanks for your support, your undying support, man. We really, truly are humbled by it and appreciate it, man. We appreciate everybody being here and supporting the Scoop, and it's just been great. I always feel like adversity brings out the best and the worst in people, man. And we've seen the best, and you are the best, Car. So we really appreciate it.
Absolutely. I see people going hard to chat about the Tennessee Tennessee game. Yeah, Jim said my voice was gone for 2 weeks. So was mine. My voice was so trash after that game. But it was worth it. It was cold. It was cold.
It
I ain't
was
even gonna
cold.
front.
It was
I ain't even
cold.
gonna, and you know what's funny? One last thing I'll say about this is on social media, there was Tennessee fans scoffing and laughing at the notion that it's going to be cold in Columbus, and they would post their weather of Tennessee and how cold it is, and there was a lot of debate about that. And I was saying, listen, like on social media on my Facebook page, I said Ohio weather in December is different than Tennessee. And I said also, yes, it does get cold in the Tennessee mountains when you get into winter in December. But I reminded them that it gets colder here earlier in November in Ohio. Y'all on, and I showed them the average temperatures and all the other stuff, and they still wanted to debate. Like, y'all don't, yes, it gets cold later on after the season, but we got to deal with this cold during the season. And y'all usually don't. So they were just, whatever. Guess what? All types of viral videos of Tennessee fans shivering and leaving and talking about it's cold. So just wanted to point that out. Yeah, Ohio strong. But anyway,
Yeah, the Tennessee fans is funny because the Tennessee fans that we saw were actually pretty nice, and they were. I mean, it's like especially after you beat them that bad, you can't really. I couldn't really jump on them too much. There was some stuff that kind of went on during the game, but I thought people were generally pretty good neighbors there in that game. But man, but before the game, the intensity was off the chart, and during the game, during that first quarter, that first touchdown Will Howard threw to J.J. Smith, man. I was ready to just come out of my seat.
oh man.
That was crazy. That was a lot of pent up frustration being released there.
Oh yeah, that was incredible. It was just I might go. You gonna make me go back and watch that game? I'm gonna pop me some popcorn and make some s'mores, and I'm gonna go back and watch that game. I'm gonna watch the Pat McAfee version this time, so I can hear him talk extra crazy and Ram truck and all the other stuff he be saying. But anyway, Barb Barrett became a YouTube member. What's up, Barb? Barb is another great one. Barb, really, really appreciate. Everybody loves Barb. Everybody say hi to Barb in the chat. But yeah. So listen. Great show, fun show. We are getting closer. The countdown is on. Not for only the Big Ten Media Days, not for only fall camp, but the season. 47 days, y'all. 47 days. I cannot wait. So we will be back tomorrow with another show. We will see you then. Nevada, any last words before we hop off?
Hey, one more day closer to the Michigan decision, to the hammer dropping on the dreaded Wolverines. So get ready for that as well. So we got hammer time. We got Big Ten Media Days. We got kickoff against Texas coming up pretty soon. Man, it's time for some football. Football coming back makes me so happy because it gets me. I'm through basketball season.
Yeah.
I'm through Major League Baseball. I'm done with all that. I just want to turn to football. Football makes me happy. So let's go.
Right. And lastly, no manner of Connor Stallion's narcissistic rants on Twitter can save Michigan from the hammer.
No, it's
It's
coming.
it's it's not going to save you. I don't care. So anyway, shout out to Sonny Dykes. Peace. All right, y'all. See y'all tomorrow.